HJR 43 for us is a big deal. It's a milestone. It says, let's take the state of Missouri, let's get a hold of our spending, let's cap it, let's put restraints on it, so whatever happens in the federal government as they blow up the debt, as they overspend, as they have been for the years, we in Missouri can take control of our resource, take control of our budget.
Since 2008, America and the state of Missouri has been in economic decline, and unfortunately, many people have lost their jobs. During that time, the state of Missouri has not received as much money in general revenue from taxes, in income taxes or sales tax. And so from general revenue, when we went to appropriate those dollars, we didn't have enough.
Representative Burleson has introduced a very important resolution referred to as the Taxpayer Protection Act. The purpose of the act is to do exactly what the title says, to protect the taxpayers of the state of Missouri from runaway growth in government spending.
It provides a limited but reasonable growth for state spending. And I believe that as we, as taxpayers, have limits to what our growth and our spending should be, so should our government.
If the state were to do that, we would have a lot less trouble finding places to cut money when we have bad budget years. This really does protect those programs that we feel are necessary, and we think it's a good, wise move to put money back when you have money, so that you can use it when you don't.
You know, I view HJR 43 as a common sense measure that actually will rein in government spending. I've spent 4 years in the State House and now 6 years in the State Senate. Throughout my time in the House, I served all 4 years on the Budget Committee. In 2005, I was the chairman of the House Budget Committee. And what I witnessed during my time working with the House, or working in the House, chairing the budget, and now my time in the Senate, is even though we have, in theory, a revenue cap in our state, the reality is there were mechanisms that were put in place in the late 90s and early 2000s that essentially allowed politicians to spend outside of those revenue caps, and they've done it through tax credits.
I, like you and Representative Burleson, believe that the state of Missouri needs to live within its means, that it should only grow its budget by a limited amount because families and businesses certainly have to live within their means. What the Taxpayer Protection Act will do is put a limit on that year-to-year growth to slow the growth in state spending down so that the state of Missouri does not send you the bill should disaster occur.
HJR 43 is a constitutional amendment to the Missouri Constitution that limits expenditures of state government at a stable and constant rate. It makes sure that in times of boom, when the state is flush with cash, that politicians put that money aside into savings rather than spend it. And then it ensures that in future years, in bust years, when we don't have as much money to fund the programs we need, the money is available in savings to be able to keep the expenditures stable.
And the reality is we now spend approximately $600 to $700 million per year off the books. So even though there was a legitimate initiative put forward by the people of the state that said we're going to cap the rate of government growth by capping revenues, the reality is it hasn't happened. And the only way that you're going to actually rein government in and truly make it live within its means is to have a spending cap.
It is a constitutional amendment that's empowered by you, the citizens. With your vote, you will restrict politicians from spending every dollar that they get their hands on. It will require them to pay off their debts first and then put excess funds into savings.
And so when we look to the future, and that the days of positive budgets return, that we have in place a mechanism at which future politicians and future elected officials can't spend our dollars. And that's why we at Americans for Prosperity think and believe that HJR 43 is an important piece of legislation, and we'd love to see it become law here in the state of Missouri.